everyone. I've already recorded this video once, but my microphone was not cooperating, so I have no audio, which was really a bummer because I feel like the breed reviews are supposed to be like a first impressions kind of thing, but obviously it won't be because I've already trained my horse still up late and I was riding him a bunch yesterday taking photos, so I feel like we're still gonna do a bit of a review. Maybe I can be a bit more concise and consistent with what I'm saying. So maybe this will be a good thing, who knows. But without further ado, let's get into the things that I really like and that I think could maybe be better about this horse. I will start off by saying that I think this horse is awesome. I'm loving them so much. There are certain things though that I think could have been even better. I love their models so much. I love how big they feel. I didn't actually do a size comparison, but I did ride next to my friends with some Belgian Warmbloods, for example, and it just felt so much bigger. It's maybe not that much bigger in the back or by the withers, but it's just so much more high-strung and it looks so good. And it feels really nice to ride around on. I'm also loving the new bridles that we got, and I also really like that they actually fit well, which is a big one. I haven't really talked about it on some of the latest breed reviews, but that's a big deal for me. It's one of the things that I dislike the most about for example the Paso Fino and stuff. So I'm really happy that they fit really well. Something that maybe doesn't fit so well is the dressage saddle. They're so weirdly wide or long or whatever, and it's you can see that the textures have been stretched, which is kind of frustrating. I'm assuming it's maybe got to do with the bigger body types, which I understand. Obviously it's annoying if you have a bigger body type and then you're clipping through the saddle, but it's I feel like the texture should be a little bit reworked, because it's you can see for the straps here, it just looks really warped and distorted, which is a bit of a shame, because obviously these horses are, supposed to wear the dressage saddle. But yeah, overall, love their build, love their top line. They look so good. As for the walk, I like the walk. I like how bouncy it feels. It feels really obviously they're supposed to be really mobile and agile and powerful because they're supposed to be dressage horses. My only bother with this is that it feels like the chest area is a little bit stiff and confined, which is a shame because I feel like it should be stepping through its shoulders a little bit more. And in the video I recorded yesterday, I was like, oh, maybe it's just rigging limitations or whatever, but you will see that there are gaits, or if you've been riding around them, you'll see that there are gaits where the shoulders are a lot looser. That's maybe a bit of a shame. I feel like it just feels a little bit stiff here. Feels like it should be stepping forward a little bit more. This is also another one of those horses who unfortunately doesn't look terrible in the walk, but it has quite a bit of distortion in the butt muscle here, which we've talked about. I think it was the Mustang that I was really satisfied with, that did really well, which makes me believe that it's not necessarily a rigging issue or a confinement or a limitation of the way that they have their animations set up, because obviously I don't know what they look like. But that's my only gripe with this horse, and I will be getting back to it in almost every single gate. There's just a lot going on back here. One thing that I also noticed is I'm obviously using the shorter mane style in this horse, but there's you can see quite clear divides in the mane and how it's warping. When you're just standing still, it looks fine, but when you're walking, you can see how it's split into sections, and it's weirdly wobbling a little bit. I could imagine that if you have the longer mane styles, it might look a little bit strange. I haven't tried it, but yeah, so that's one thing. And when you back up, you can see a clear stretching here. That's a little bit weird, but they make up for it by having a wonderful animation or a wonderful rigging in the tail. The tail is probably one of my favorites of any horse. It just does not look stiff and one big piece or whatever. You can see how many, it looks like there are a lot of meshes on it. It looks really fluid and heavy in a way that makes sense for a tail. The trot, again, you have a lot of warping going on. I feel like it just goes way too far up. The butt shrinks so much. If you compare this side and how big and beefy that looks, great. And then like this whole section here is like missing, which is not unique to this horse, but it's a big pet peeve of mine regardless. I know I mentioned this in the updated character video, where the run cycle of this new character is definitely not my favorite. She no longer runs like she's actually heavy. She's running by kicking out her legs in front of her. Because if you've ever looked at the run cycle of the old animation, or the old character, sorry, you'll notice that they actually run how you're supposed to. Because when you're running, you're essentially falling forward and catching yourself, right? And the character doesn't do that anymore. She just like kind of kicks out her legs in front of her and like, you know, trottles on. And the horse is kind of doing the same with its front legs. It's like there's a lot of movement going on, a lot of high knees, makes sense, looks really good, honestly. Looks awesome in pictures. Like a lot of movement forward and not a whole lot, not like it's actually stepping through. Because if you look at it here, it feels like it should be stepping out and landing somewhere here, but it actually goes back, put down like behind where it's supposed to be, if that makes sense. And that's like my only gripe with the trot, because it doesn't feel like it's moving forward. It's like a lot is going on, but not a lot is coming out of it. Does that make sense? But it looks awesome. Great in pictures. Honestly, I've been taking so many pictures and it looks awesome. Oh, and another side note, in like all of the gates, the head carriage is like immaculate. Really nice. But yeah, like that's the only thing that's bothering me a little bit. It's like it doesn't look heavy. It doesn't look like it's like a strong horse, you know, an animal landing on its legs after being like super collected and working properly. It's kind of like, it could have been better. It's really good, but it could have been better. And yeah, again, this whole section here, let's not dwell on that. The collected canter is, I really like it. There's a lot going on in the back as usual. Oh god. Like, it's just so much compression happening, like here. This maybe a bit much. That's what creates the whole like spider leg thing. But I mean, look at how uphill this canter is. It's awesome. It's just like, it's moving a little bit too much for its own good almost. And I feel like the front legs in the canter, kind of the same thing. I'd like, look at the reach here. I'd love for it to like stretch forward a little bit more with its shoulder and like stretch out a little bit more in the front, just to match kind of all the activity that's going on behind. But I mean, it looks awesome. I think it's super cool. I love how bouncy it feels. It feels really like, I mean, scopy is not the word in dressage, but it's like, that's what it feels like, you know? Yeah, it looks really, really nice. Again, head carriage, awesome. Just, I wish for a little bit more freedom in the shoulder. And why I say that is because the middle canter is perfect. Like, this is exactly what I want. Like, look at how much the shoulder is moving. Like, you see that? See how it opens up? That's what I want in, like, the walk and the collected canter as well. Like, it's obviously really exaggerated, but it's like the steps or the movement makes sense because it's moving through the entire body instead of just like flailing its legs all around. And I often find myself really liking the middle canters because they're just so good. Again, quite a lot going on in the behind, like a lot of warping going on here. The hind legs like go up into the body so much, which I think is what's creating this warping. And I guess that they want to have like a really exaggerated movement, but it's like, it's a little bit much. Another thing that's a bit of a shame or whatever is that like, obviously she's not sitting down. I'd love for her to sit down in this, in the middle canter as well. That'd be awesome. But I understand that they can't like change the riding animations from horse to horse. But yeah, that's like a wish. Like, this is obviously the collected canter. Makes sense that she's sitting down here. But if you like, you know, this down the center line, sitting down and like kind of supporting it would be awesome. The extended canter makes sense that she's out of the saddle for this one. I also like that it's, the horse is like going a little bit more forward, obviously a little bit freer, not as confined. There's a lot of like, it's snapping a little bit, maybe it feels like in the shoulder. It's looser in the shoulder, which is nice, but it's like, it feels like it's snapping back a little bit. It's also a case of like, normally when I do the breed reviews, the horse is in level 2, right? Obviously a lot slower than what they are now, which might be exaggerating what I'm feeling. I don't know. It looks really nice. I like the extended canter. It's not bad. It's just maybe like, it looks really good in pictures, but I feel like it's maybe a little bit much movement in the back. But I mean, look how cool the horse looks. I love their little ears as well. Super nice. And of course, we'll talk about the jump, even though this isn't a jumping horse. I didn't really have much expectations for the jump, if I'm being completely honest. But I will say that I'm pretty positively surprised. Let's start with the collected canter, because this is the only one that I really had something to say about. With how I understand that it's not like gonna be super tidy and polished and jump really well, but it's like if my horse was this uneven and was this late with extending both legs, I would suspect some kind of nerve damage. Like, this does not look good. Like, look healthy. And it's like, it doesn't jump bad, but it's, I don't know, it's very uneven. I get it if it's uneven here, but I mean, the horse still wants to land and should probably extend both legs to catch itself. The middle and the extended canter jumps, they look really nice, honestly. You get some nice shots from this. They could have jumped much worse. Looks super adorable. You can get some really nice photos. I mean, it doesn't really like pull its front legs up that much, which makes sense. Like, I understand why it would be a little bit maybe limited in its shoulder range, and why it wouldn't have like, it's not hanging front legs, but you can see how it's like a little bit underneath it. You know, every horse has a different technique, but yeah, I feel like this one makes sense for this horse. The jump definitely reminds me a little bit about of the Belgian. I feel like they kind of probably took some animations from that one. A little bit funny with his head forward, but that's kind of what we talked about with the Belgian as well. So, but like I said, it's not necessarily a Dutch Warmblood can of course be a jumping breed, but this is obviously not made to be a jumping horse. This is designed to be a dressage horse, which is, I think they've done really well. Like, you can tell with how high the withers are, how much it carries itself, obviously with the special gaits and stuff that we have. It's obviously a dressage horse, and if you've ever compared like a purpose-bred show jumper with a purpose-bred dressage horse, there's quite a lot of difference usually. No two horses are the same, but generally, a dressage horse has a lot more. They're almost built a little bit uphill, because you want to have those like the open shoulders with a lot of range and a lot of movement in the front, while for a show jumper you want them to be a little bit more, you're focusing on like power from behind, if that makes sense. So I think this is a wonderfully made dressage horse, and I was positively surprised to see that it jumped pretty well as well, because that's always nice for pictures. The special gaits I really like. I'm a big fan of. You have the piaffe, and I freaking love this one. I'm just like doing this all the time. I think it looks really nice. I mean, maybe my only wish was that it maybe sat under itself a little bit more to really like round out its back. Because if you've ever looked at a horse doing a piaffe, they really round off their backs a little bit. Horses' spines don't flex much, but they really like maximize that flexion and like sit down under them and then do like a super powerful piaffe. And I mean, this looks awesome. It could have been like, that's a teeny tiny detail, but it still looks awesome. Obviously really nice that it's not moving. They're not supposed to. I sit around and do this like all the time. Then we have the extended trot, and this has got to be one of my favorite special gaits ever. It looks so good. I'm loving the little toe flick. Again, kind of the same thing. A lot of the warping going on up here. This hind knee area is maybe their weak point, but I mean, look at this. This is so cool. I'm loving this horse so much. I never really used like the special gaits, but this one is like, I can sit around just extending trot the whole day. I'm loving the head carriage, loving the little toe flick, really properly extending, but keeping that what we talked about before, like the parallel legs. It's not overextending in the front. Some snapping going on for the rider, I feel like. See that? It's like it's jittering a little bit, but yeah, no, the animation itself, awesome. The rear was also really cute. It's very polite. It's like really like, oh, I'll do it. I like how like even it is. This is my only gripe. Why does she act like he's up here about to tip over? Like, that really ruins it for me. One thing I don't like is the hard stop. It looks so awkward. I understand that they don't want to do like a Western slide for this horse, but it's like, what is happening here? It's going like super hollow and like stiff and like and she's sitting back like she's doing the extended trot or whatever. I wish it kind of at least sat down a little bit and like hunched over, or like sat down on its legs a little bit more. It's sliding over the ground and it's like the weird awkward like so I don't like that one, but I mean it's not really an animation that you use or whatever. So as for riding around on it, I've obviously trained it a lot now. I honestly love it. It feels really nice to ride, which is obviously a good plus because you want them to feel nice to ride because that's the whole point. Yeah, in general, I really adore this horse. I'm definitely going to be getting more. I'm trying to level the horse that I do have first, but I mean, I'm loving this horse so much. I didn't think I was going to love it this much because I'm not really a dressage enthusiast or whatever. I'm really positively surprised by these horses. They're so nice, gorgeous to look at. They do amazing in photos. This also makes me really excited for the 𝙎𝙩𝙖𝙧 because I'm hoping that's going to be more of like a show jumper and possibly a lean, more cross-country type. In general, I'm really excited about new horses. We have the Ardennes and everything. It's like I'm really excited. You know me, I love new horses. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. As always, please do leave your opinions and your feedback or whatever thoughts you may have about these horses in the comments. Love reading them. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.